Okay, we're gonna just change speed here. Okay, we're gonna put on the classroom hat real quick. I want you, Chris Taylor, as someone who has run a very successful gold exploration company, to school me and our audience, okay, on how to pick the right exploration company to invest in. Okay, so obviously you just told us why we should own Great Bear, and I'm sure that's going to be a part of this decision. However, exploration is high risk, right? And so, in your opinion, if anyone's buying any exploration stocks, what things should we look for, and what things are really necessary to see in a company before hitting that buy?
Well, okay. A lot of it's going to come down to people, right? So I won't give you a bullet point list. We'll just talk about it for a sec.
Yeah.
Look at the people that are involved in the company. If your quote unquote exploration company is run by a lawyer, probably you want to run away from that one as a first choice.
Ouch! Ouch! Ouch!
Or an accountant or somebody like this. Look for somebody like myself. I used to work for a mid-tier producer. I have a master's degree in structural geology. My partner in this in Great Bear, sort of a foundational partner in Great Bear's new iteration, is Bob Singh. He's a professional geologist. He's worked in Red Lake for 20 years, basically, deposits all over the world as well. Excellent computer modeler. I mean, you want to look at the team that you've put together. We're part of what we call the discovery group. So other key guys that are involved in that are John Robbins, Jim Paterson. You'd know about those guys from the Kaminak days, big sale to Goldcorp
Sure.
about 3 or 4 years ago for $500 million. Really good board. We have a good technical board. I mean, looking at a company like us, like we are built as an exploration discovery vehicle, and that has worked. You also want to see, when you're looking at these companies, like there is a structural problem with the junior mining industry. And this is always a beef of mine, so just to kind of explain how this can work is, a lot of the times the guys that buy the initial shares in a company in the junior sector, they manage through debt settlements or whatever the case is, to buy that stock at a penny or a couple pennies a share, the equivalent. Early on, you'll see management has organized itself so that it has millions and millions of shares of the vehicle that they're going to build the company around. The share count tends to be a bit too high. These guys have massive share positions. So if I were running a company and I had bought all my stock at a penny, by the time the retail audience gets to invest in the company, and the company is, say, 10 cents, say, issue some stock at a dime or whatever the case is, those guys could have made 5 to 10 times their money. Now, if you've already made 5 to 10 times your money, why do you really care about what the ultimate performance of the stock is going to be? So ask the people that are running these companies what they bought their stock for, and look at the records of their share purchases. If you look at ours, you'll see that I have bought stock in Great Bear in all the private placements and in the market over the last few years, the last several years. So basically look for that pattern when you're looking at management. You want to make sure that it's not a free ride for them. Once the retail audience is engaged, they're not just already running off of a 10, a 5, 10 bagger, right? So,
yeah, they're motivated. They still have incentive to run the company properly.
That's right. You don't want to invest in a lifestyle company either. Like, if you look at me driving a 10-year-old Honda, I am clearly not, in the lap of luxury driving Ferraris and Lamborghinis around. Like I'm basically, the way that I'll make money with this company is as a shareholder of the company. So if you're talking to other companies, make sure that they're going to benefit as shareholders of the company. That way, they're going to care about things like dilution. Right? They're going to care about their share count. They're going to keep it as low as possible so that the price performance on a per share basis is as high as possible. You can't control the market. Look at this coronavirus situation. You
Right.
can't always control the market. So if you keep your share count low, you keep more options open over the long term, and you do better as an individual shareholder. So, those are a couple of the key things that you want to look for. Quality of basically experience and qualifications. Exploration companies should be run by explorers, right? And those explorers should be motivated to benefit as shareholders of the company. Outside of that, there's a lot of jurisdictional risk. I mean, man, I mean, you know that most of the world is not as good to live or work in as a place like Canada, right? In my past life, I've run projects. You know, I had a project that we had in Mexico, excellent project geologically, and there are great places to work in Mexico. I'm not saying that. I'm just using an example. But
Mhm.
you know, we had outside of the property before we shut it down, we had 11 people, not our people, but 11 local people killed in a gun battle. You know, between drug people and government people, and just like it's not safe to work in those
Yeah,
environments. So there's a lot of jurisdictional risk plugged into other locations. So you want to see a safe jurisdiction, you know, and then you want to see accessibility. Like, you know, one of the reasons that we did the you know, the initial agreement on the Dixie project and then expanded so aggressively in Red Lake is like the project's right on the side of the highway, and I literally mean that. The highway goes over part of the
mhm,
claims, and there's a power line that goes over part of the claims. Like, guys right now say that in the coronavirus situation, you might have the best discovery in the world, but if it's up on a bloody mountain somewhere and you cannot fly in and out of it because you have work restrictions in place, or you know, you have a narrow work season. This is always an issue when we're, you know, you got to think about how exploration was done. Like, the low hanging fruit around the world has mostly been found. I mean, modern geology has been in place more than 50 years, and there have been thousands of geologists combing around the earth. And the really low hanging fruit, the highest grade gold that's sitting on surface, or copper, or whatever it is, it's mostly been found. So mostly now, like projects like ours, the reason that all this gold is going right to surface effectively beside the highway and nobody found it is there's like 2 or 3 meters, sometimes 10 meters of gravel that covers the entire property. And that means you don't see the bedrock. So it's all still there. If it were bare bedrock, this would have been mines years ago. Right.
mhm,
So there
mhm.
are examples where you can make new discoveries, but you know, the operational risks of working up north or working up on the top of a mountain, they can be overcome. There are good mines that are developed in these locations, but the thresholds are so much higher. And then you get problems like COVID go through. Well, you can't run a camp up on a mountain, a helicopter based camp up on a mountain just about anywhere in Canada right now. What if your helicopter pilot got sick? Everybody'd be stranded. And then under health regulations, you can't have people living in a camp either. So, I mean, like, you know, the closer you are to infrastructure and access, the better an investment tends to be. So those are a couple key points I'd look.
Whew. All right, so hold on, let's count them down. So jurisdiction, okay. Obviously, you know, Canada's safe, Canada's great. And hey, by the way, GBR's in Ontario. Um, Structure,
Yeah.
right? I mean, cap structure and making sure that management teams align. But I think that the first one, and maybe this is just so overlooked, but you're so right. There's so many of these exploration companies where it's being run by lawyers or accountants, and you know, no disrespect to lawyers and accountants, but if you're running an exploration company, you want to have a very geologist heavy team, and hopefully a team that has experience on their side. Um, Listen, it's funny because as you're saying it, I'm kind of just like thinking, yeah, of course, it makes total sense. It's very logical, and the things you can control, you control, such as picking these things and the companies you invest in, because other things like coronavirus you don't control, and these things, as we know, happen in the market. So, uh, Chris, this was awesome. I'm super excited about what you guys are doing. This is the first time we've actually connected. It's a pleasure
Yeah.
to chat with you and to meet you. And I hope we can bring you back and talk more as you guys grow and make great progress with the company. Thanks for your time. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks, Rash. It was great meeting you digitally like this. At some point, we'll meet in the flesh as well. No time in the next few months, I'm sure. But yeah, we'll keep everybody updated. I'll keep everybody going. I mean, I like talking about the project. It's been a great discovery, and it's a privilege to work on something like what we found at Dixie. It's just, you know, right now, this is what I can do. I can't really look at rocks personally. I mean, it always puts a smile on my face when I see gold coming out of the ground. That's every geologist's dream, right? But this is
You're
the
a
best.
true geologist, a true geologist. I just want to look at rocks.
Yeah, exactly. They don't talk. They don't provide any. You know, they don't talk back. They don't argue with you. They're just rocks. Gold is gold. It looks great. You know, it's nice seeing it in there. But yeah, thanks, Arash. I appreciate it.
All right, man. Thank you.